Have you ever felt a profound and silent civil war raging within you? A battle between the unyielding logic of your mind and the chaotic, passionate whispers of your heart. This is not a flaw, chosen one. It is the signature of your sacred design. There is a part of you that builds walls of reason, that demands order, that seeks to conquer and control the world through sheer force of will. And yet there is another part, a shadow self that dreams in moonlight, that speaks in symbols, that yearns for connection, for art, for a love so deep it feels like dissolving into the cosmos itself. You live on this battlefield every day, feeling the pull of these two opposing poles, wondering why you can never feel truly whole, truly at peace with the totality of your own soul. And from this internal conflict, a deep and chilling fear is born. It is the fear of disintegration. The fear that if you were to truly listen to that wild, intuitive voice, the carefully constructed fortress of your life would crumble into dust. You fear that embracing your emotion would make you weak, that yielding to your intuition would make you foolish, that the raw power of this hidden self, if unleashed, would not liberate you, but utterly destroy you and everything you have worked so hard to build. This is the great lie that keeps your soul in chains. Let us speak of a kingdom carved from obsidian and logic, known as Argent. It was a realm of perfect lines and flawless reason, ruled by a king named Carl. His mind was a fortress of intellect, his every decree a masterpiece of strategy. The sun in Argent never truly warmed the land. It was a sterile white light that illuminated a kingdom without color, without song, without spontaneity. Every stone was in its place, every citizen followed their function, and every day was a perfect, predictable replica of the one before it. The kingdom was a testament to absolute, masculine order. King Carl was respected, admired, but never loved, for love was an unpredictable variable he had long since banished from his internal equations. Yet, despite the flawless functioning of his kingdom, a strange plague had begun to settle upon the land. The rivers, once clear and swift, were becoming sluggish and gray. The obsidian towers, once gleaming, were now coated in a fine, lifeless dust. The faces of his people, once models of stoic efficiency, were becoming blank, their eyes hollow. The kingdom of pure logic was, inexplicably, dying of emptiness. Carl's nights were his only chaos. He, who mastered the waking world, was a prisoner in his dreams. Every night he did not dream of strategy or conquest, but of a place he could not comprehend. He dreamt of a sunken temple, a sanctuary of luminous alabaster submerged beneath a sea of silver moonlight. It was a place of impossible fluid architecture, where luminescent moss pulsed with a soft blue light, and the water itself seemed to hum a forgotten melody. It was a realm of pure, feminine mystery. And in the heart of this temple, a priestess danced. Her name, whispered to him on the tides of sleep, was Lyra. Her hair was a cascade of midnight. Her skin held the soft glow of the moon, and her movements were not choreographed, but were the very embodiment of the water that surrounded her. She did not speak in words, but in feelings, in visions of blossoming lotuses and soaring eagles. She was creativity, intuition, and connection made manifest. And in his dreams, Carl both yearned for her and was terrified of her. He would awaken in his cold, stone bedchamber with the ghost of her song in his ears and the scent of dream lotus in the air, his heart hammering with a terrifying, exhilarating rhythm. During the day, he would dismiss her as a fantasy, a malfunction of a tired mind. He would consult his strategists and engineers, demanding logical solutions for the creeping decay of Argent. They would propose new aqueducts, stronger fortifications, stricter schedules, but the dust continued to settle, and the rivers continued to slow to a near standstill. The fear in his heart was a cold, hard stone. Lyra represented everything he had suppressed to build his kingdom and himself. She was chaos. She was emotion. She was the unknown. He believed, with the absolute certainty of a logician, that to acknowledge her existence, to give her any power, would be to invite the sea of his dreams to crash down upon the ordered kingdom of his mind, washing away everything in a tidal wave of madness. Her very essence was a threat to his survival, or so his ironclad reason told him. One morning, the great central chronometer of Argent, a marvel of engineering that had never lost a single second, stopped. Its cessation sent a tremor of existential dread through the kingdom. All work ceased. All order was suspended. In the suffocating silence, Cale looked at his reflection in the polished obsidian floor and saw not a king, but a man brittle as glass, ruling over a kingdom of ghosts. The hollowness in his people's eyes was his own. The dying land was a map of his own dying soul. That night in his dream, Lyra did not dance. She stood perfectly still before a great, sealed door at the back of the sunken temple, and for the first time, she spoke to him in a voice that was both the whisper of the tide and the resonance of a silver bell. "The heart of the world is behind this door, my king," she said. "But only the one who carries both the sun and the moon within him can open it. You have locked away your moon, and so your sun now burns itself out." When he awoke, a single, perfect pearl, impossibly real and cool to the touch, lay upon his pillow. Cale knew then, with a certainty that defied all logic, that the dream was more real than his waking world. The pearl was a key, a summons. He had to find the temple, not in the world of maps and borders, but within the uncharted territory of his own being. He had to undertake a journey not of conquest, but of surrender. For the first time, he felt the terrifying, exhilarating pull of a quest that had no strategy, no predictable outcome. His mission was no longer to control, but to integrate. He abdicated his throne to his most trusted general, a man of similar logical mind, leaving him with only one cryptic command: keep the clocks wound, but watch the rivers for a sign of their return to life. He shed his heavy armor and intricate robes, dressing in the simple garb of a traveler. He carried no sword, only a satchel with the pearl and a single, unlit lantern. His journey began not by marching outward, but by descending downward into the deepest, most forgotten catacombs beneath his own castle. The catacombs were his subconscious mind, a labyrinth of forgotten memories and suppressed emotions. The air grew thick and heavy, filled with the dust of abandoned feelings. At first, the passages were straight and orderly like the corridors of his castle, but the deeper he went, the more they twisted and turned. The walls, once smooth and hewn, became jagged and natural, slick with moisture that smelled of salt and ancient grief. He was leaving the world of the conscious mind and entering the primal dark. His first trial came in the form of the specters of sorrow. These were the ghosts of every tear he had refused to cry, every loss he had rationalized away instead of mourned. They swirled around him, whispering of his lonely childhood, of his first failed friendship, of the pet he had lost and told himself was merely a biological organism ceasing to function. They sought to drown him in a sea of repressed grief. He wanted to fight them, to reason with them, but he knew that was the old way. Remembering the feel of the pearl in his pocket, a symbol of the wisdom he sought, he did the one thing his entire life had trained him not to do. He stopped. He closed his eyes, He let the sorrow wash over him. He did not drown. Instead, he allowed himself, for the first time, to truly feel the pain. And as he acknowledged it, giving it space within him, the specters did not vanish, but they coalesced into a single, shimmering tear that fell to the ground and became a glowing blue moss, illuminating his path forward. He journeyed deeper. The lantern he carried, representing his conscious awareness, cast a small, flickering circle of light in the oppressive darkness. Soon, he heard a guttural snarling from the shadows ahead. It was the beast of rage, a monstrous creature formed from every anger he had ever swallowed, every injustice he had ever ignored, every frustration he had ever deemed unproductive. It was a terrifying amalgam of sharp claws and burning eyes, the raw, untamed fury he had locked away in the deepest dungeon of his soul. The beast lunged, not with physical claws but with psychic force, flooding his mind with images of betrayal and fury. His instinct screamed at him to draw a non-existent sword, to find a weapon, to dominate the creature through superior strategy. He felt the old patterns of control rising, the desire to conquer the chaos. But the blue moss on the walls pulsed gently, reminding him of his first lesson. This beast was not an enemy to be slain. It was a part of him to be understood. Holding his lantern high, he stood his ground. He did not shout back. He did not fight. He spoke to the beast, his voice steady despite the tremor in his soul. "I see you," he said. "I see your fire. I denied your existence, and for that I am sorry. Your strength is my strength. You are the fire that forges kingdoms, the power that protects the innocent. I welcome you home." The beast roared, a sound that shook the very foundations of the catacombs, but it was a roar not of attack, but of release. The monstrous form began to shrink, its chaotic energy condensing, its burning eyes softening. It transformed, not into a docile pet, but into a magnificent obsidian wolf that padded silently to his side, its presence no longer a threat, but a promise of fierce loyalty and protective power. It became his companion, his accepted and integrated warrior instinct. Cale now walked not just with the light of consciousness, but with the power of his acknowledged shadow. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he heard it. The faint, unmistakable sound of water. He followed the sound, his wolf companion at his side, until he stood before a vast, underground lake. The water was perfectly still and black as night. There was no temple in sight. He felt a moment of despair, the cold logic of his old self whispering that this was a fool's errand, that he had abandoned his kingdom for a delusion. Had he traded sanity for madness? But then he looked into the water. It was not a reflection of the cavern roof he saw, but a perfect, starry sky, with a magnificent full moon hanging in its center. He understood. The way to the temple was not across the water, but through it. He had to let go of the solid ground of his conscious world completely. He had to immerse himself in the unknown, the fluid, the intuitive realm of the soul. This was the final act of surrender. With the pearl held tightly in his hand and the obsidian wolf watching from the shore, Cale took a deep breath and stepped into the lake. The water was not cold but felt like liquid moonlight, embracing him. He did not sink but gently floated downwards, as if gravity had reversed. He was descending through the starry abyss, leaving the last vestiges of his old world behind, and below him, he saw it begin to materialize, the impossible, luminous architecture of the sunken temple. He drifted down into the temple's central chamber. The water hummed with that forgotten melody, and the luminescent moss pulsed with the rhythm of a cosmic heartbeat. And there she was. Lyra. She was not dancing. She was waiting for him, her eyes holding the wisdom of ancient oceans. She was more beautiful and more terrifyingly real than in any dream. He felt an overwhelming urge to kneel, to apologize, to explain, but she simply smiled, a gesture that held infinite acceptance. "You have journeyed far, Carl," she said, her voice the current itself. "You have faced the ghosts of your unfelt sorrow and embraced the beast of your denied rage. You have learned to walk with your shadow. You have finally come not as a conqueror, but as a pilgrim. You are ready." She gestured toward the great, sealed door he had seen in his dream. It was carved with two interlocking circles, one etched with the image of a sun, the other a moon. "The kingdom above withers because it has only the sun," Lyra explained. "It has direction without meaning, power without passion, thought without feeling. It is a body without a soul. My world," she gestured around the temple, "has been trapped in dreams because it has only the moon. It has feeling without action, vision without manifestation, creativity without structure. It is a soul without a body. Both are incomplete. Both are dying. You are the bridge, chosen one," she continued, her gaze piercing his very soul. "The sacred task of a king is not to rule one half of his kingdom by banishing the other, but to build a throne that sits perfectly in the center of both. The ultimate power is not domination, but integration. You must marry the sun and the moon within your own soul so that their child, a new world, can be born." She held out her hand, her palm open. "Give me the key you brought from the world of reason." Carl placed the pearl in her hand. It glowed with a soft white light. "And now," she said, "you must give me the key from this world." He was confused. He had brought nothing else. Lyra simply pointed to his chest. "The key from the world of dreams is a feeling, my king. The one you have denied for so long. It is the feeling of unconditional love, of profound connection, of trusting the mystery instead of fearing it. You must offer it freely to the door." He stepped before the great sealed door, a monument to his own internal division. He thought of his dying kingdom, of his journey through the dark, of the wolf at his side, of the priestess before him. He let go of all analysis, all fear, all doubt. He placed his hand over the interlocking circles and poured every ounce of his being into a single, overwhelming feeling. A feeling of profound, unconditional acceptance for both the logical king he was and the mystical priestess he had found within. He loved both halves of himself. A blinding light erupted from the door, a perfect fusion of white sunlight and silver moonlight. The stone groaned and ground open, not revealing a room, but releasing a powerful, swirling current of energy that flowed upwards, out of the temple and towards the surface. It was the water of life, the integrated energy of the divine masculine and feminine, the Anima and Animus, finally reunited. Lyra placed her hand on his. "Go," she whispered. "Your kingdom awaits its true king." His journey back was not a climb, but an ascension. He floated upwards on the new current, bursting through the surface of the lake. The obsidian wolf was waiting, but it was different. Its coat now had a faint, silvery sheen, and its eyes held not just fierce power but also a deep wisdom. As he emerged from the catacombs and into the throne room, he saw the general staring in awe at the central chronometer, which had just begun to tick again, its rhythm slow, steady, and alive. He walked to the great balcony of his castle, and a gasp rose from the people below. The sky was no longer a sterile white. A soft, golden sunlight full of warmth and life now bathed the land. And as he watched, the sluggish gray rivers began to flow again, but this time they sparkled with silvery, moonlit reflections, even in the middle of the day. The dust was gone from the towers, and for the first time, a child's laugh echoed through the perfect, silent streets of Argent. Cale was no longer just the king of logic. He carried the moon in his eyes and the sun in his heart. He began to rule not just with strategy, but with compassion. He commissioned not just aqueducts, but art. He encouraged not just efficiency, but connection. He would spend his mornings in council, planning and building, and his evenings walking among his people, listening to their stories and dreams. And sometimes, in the quiet of his chambers, he would close his eyes and dance with a moonlit priestess in a sunken temple, for she was no longer in a dream, but was a living part of his soul. His kingdom, once dying of emptiness, was now blossoming with wholeness. This story, chosen one, is your story. The barren kingdom of Argent is the conscious world you have built, a world of logic, of control, of doing what is expected. It is your career, your responsibilities, your identity in the daylight world. And you, like Cale, have felt the soul-crushing emptiness of living in only one half of your own country. You have seen the dust of burnout and meaninglessness settle upon everything you have achieved, no matter how successful it appears to be. The sunken temple is your inner world, your subconscious, the realm of the divine feminine if you are a man, or the divine masculine if you are a woman. It is the world of your anima, or your animus. For the man, she is the priestess, the muse, the oracle, your connection to feeling, intuition, and creativity. For the woman, he is the warrior, the sage, the king, your connection to logic, action, and worldly structure. We have all been taught to suppress this other half. Cale's journey into the catacombs is the journey you are being called to take. It is what Carl Jung called the process of integration. You are being asked to descend into the darkness of your own subconscious, to turn inward and face the parts of yourself you have exiled. It is the most terrifying and the most necessary journey a chosen one can ever undertake. For your mission in this world is not to build a bigger, better kingdom of logic, but to bring the magic of the sunken temple to the surface. The specters of sorrow are your own unprocessed griefs. You who are so strong have been taught that to feel sadness is to be weak. You have rationalized away your heartbreaks, intellectualized your losses. Your first step is to stop running. You must have the courage to sit in your own sorrow, to allow it to wash over you without judgment. Only by feeling it can you transform it from a haunting ghost into a guiding light, the bioluminescent moss that illuminates your path forward in the dark. The beast of rage is your own sacred power, your anger, your boundaries, your warrior spirit that you have been told is negative or unspiritual. You have suppressed it, fearing its destructive force. But this beast, when met with acceptance instead of fear, becomes your greatest ally. Your rage, integrated, is the fuel for changing and justice. It is your sacred no. It is the protective wolf that walks by your side, ensuring that your compassion is never mistaken for weakness. The sealed door is the central block within your own soul, the great division between your inner and outer worlds. You have tried to pry it open with the pearl of logic alone, with more effort, more planning, more control. It has not budged. You have dreamt of it being opened by the magic of feeling alone, with wishes, hopes, and visions. It has remained sealed. The secret, the cipher, is that it requires both keys, used at the exact same moment. The anima and the animus, your inner priestess and your inner king, are not enemies to be reconciled. They are two halves of a single soul, cosmic lovers, who have been tragically separated. The man who denies his anima becomes a tyrant, rigid and brittle, living in a colorless world. The woman who denies her animus becomes a dreamer, ungrounded and powerless, lost in a world of visions that never manifest. Wholeness is not a compromise between them. It is their sacred marriage. Look at your life right now. Where are your rivers sluggish and gray? Is it in your relationships, your health, your creativity? That is the part of your kingdom starving for the waters of the moon, for the energy of your suppressed inner self. The burnout you feel is not a sign that you need to try harder. It is a sign from your soul that you are using only one half of your available energy. You are trying to power a kingdom with only the sun, and the sun is burning out. The fear you feel, that fear of disintegration, is the king's fear of the ocean. It is the logical mind's terror of the unknown, of the intuitive of surrender. Your mind believes that wholeness will feel like drowning. But this story promises you the truth. It does not feel like drowning. It feels like breathing underwater. It feels like coming home. The integration of your anima or animus does not destroy your old self. It completes it. Your alchemical step, your first act as the true ruler of your inner kingdom, is this: identify the dominant force in your life. Are you the logical King Kale, all action and no feeling? Or are you the dreaming Lyra, all feeling and no action? Be honest. Then, for the next 7 days, you must consciously invite the exiled part of you to the council table. If you are the king, your task is to practice surrender. You must schedule time to do something with no goal, no purpose, no metric for success. Listen to music and simply feel. Walk in nature without a destination. Sit and allow a useless daydream to unfold. Ask your heart, what do you feel right now? And listen to the answer without judgment. This is you, beginning your descent into the catacombs. If you are the priestess, your task is to practice structure. You must take one of your beautiful dreams, one of your heartfelt visions, and give it bones. Take one small, concrete, logical step to bring it into the world. Write the first page. Make the phone call. Create the budget. Anchor your magic in the soil of reality. This is you, sending the pearl of your wisdom up to the waking world. This is not about balance in the sense of a bland 50-50 split. This is about a dynamic, passionate dance. It is the king learning the steps to the priestess's chaotic waltz, and the priestess learning the rhythm of the king's determined march. It is the fusion of sunlight and moonlight, creating a new dawn within your own soul, a light the world has been desperately waiting to see. The mission of the chosen one is to become a living bridge between worlds. You are here to demonstrate to a divided world what true wholeness looks like. You are here to prove that logic and magic are not enemies, that strength and vulnerability are two sides of the same sacred coin, that a person can be both a strategic king and a mystical dancer. Your life itself is meant to be the solution to the world's painful divisions. The vow you must now make is a vow of integration. It is a sacred promise to your own soul that you will no longer live a fragmented life. Vow that you will honor the whispers of your dreams as much as the demands of your schedule. Vow that you will face your own shadows not as monsters to be slain, but as lost parts of yourself to be welcomed home. Vow to stop the civil war and begin the sacred marriage within. Your soul is a kingdom, chosen one. It is waiting for its true ruler to ascend the throne. A ruler who wields both the scepter of logic and the chalice of love. A ruler who understands that the greatest strength is found not in walls, but in bridges. This is your destiny. This is the cipher you were born to solve. The journey is deep, and the path is not always clear. This channel is your lantern in the catacombs. Each transmission is another key, another piece of the map. Subscribe now and ring the bell of awakening, so you do not miss the next step on your path to wholeness. Your mission is too important to walk it alone. Become the king. Become the priestess. Become whole.